Yeah.
Okay, great. So my name is Rika Wong. I'm a writer for the Western Front. Is it all right with you if I record this interview?
Yes.
Could you say could you say your first and last name for me and spell them both, please?
It's ruthsofield, and it's ruthsofield.
Okay. And what is your title?
I'm an associate professor in the environmental sciences department.
Okay. So let's go. How long have you been with the university?
Since 2003.
Okay. And how long have you been in your field of study?
Since about, I've been in toxicology since 1998.
Okay. And so what kind of work have you done in the area of science and management of contaminated sites?
Science and management of contaminated sites. Okay, so I've done a little bit of research. I've did some research in this area. I'll kind of start. There's a class a series of classes that I teach. I've been doing those. This is the third year currently. We get funding from the Department of Ecology to teach these classes, and the classes are all about the science and management of contaminated sites. And so what we do is the students and I we have a case study each year that we look at a different site in Washington State undergoing cleanup, and we focus on the kind of the technical aspects of the cleanup and how the regulations dictate or how things are cleaned up, and so we use the Model Toxics Control Act, which is the regulation, and we learn how that works with the scientific aspects of the cleanup, and so we learn everything kind of from site discovery all the way through the final completion of cleanup of the site. And so research-wise, I've had students look at the biggest project was the site down in Anacortes, where they looked at a site in the marine. So it was a marine cleanup. There's usually, when you do cleanup, you split it up into either an in-water, so what's happening in the water, or the uplands up on the land. So we were doing the in-water. The in-water cleanup was happening, and we went in while it was happening and did some scientific studies to see what some of the impacts were of the contamination before it was cleaned up.
Okay. What do you know about the pollution that's in Bellingham Bay? Like, how long has it been here, and where did it come from?
And you're specifically, I just want to get clarification, you're interested in mercury, is that right?
Yeah, I'm actually writing a story about the Georgia Pacific West cleanup site, in which they're going to be digging out pockets of mercury-contaminated soil, and they're going to be taking that out of the bay.
Yeah. Well, the bay is a separate, so there's two different mercury sites down there with the cleanup. So in this case, they've got it separated into two different sites. They've got the in-water, and then, so that would be the mercury, and it'd be in the sediment where it's primarily located. And that's separate from what you're talking about, the uplands. And I actually just saw a talk about that one, so I can talk about that just a little bit. How long it's been there? I don't know how long it's been there. It's been there for quite a while. That should be easy to come up with public information. Sources, they use mercury as a catalyst in the production of trying to create chlorine gas. So it was an industrial process where they used mercury, and then there was from that process mercury was released into the environment.
Okay. What do you think about the cleanup project that's begun on the Georgia Pacific West site? Do you think that there are benefits to having this bay clean? How do you think it'll affect your field of study?
There are definitely benefits to having it clean. Especially, so one of the things that they're trying to do, and this is a really good approach, so the land is connected to the water because they're adjacent to each other, and you can have groundwater that carries chemicals from underground, and then if the groundwater goes into surface water, then it can carry those chemicals into the surface water. So you can have contaminants like mercury going from the groundwater under the soils and enter into the water. And so what they're trying to do here by doing the uplands first is they're trying to do source control. So they're trying to stop the mercury from going from the uplands into the water, the bay. So this is actually a really good idea to try to stop it. So source control, great idea. They, technically, or from a technological, or I guess a technical perspective, there's challenges with them doing this. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's an important step to take. I think it's definitely an important step. I think you're going about it the right way. They've got some technological challenges. They've spent a lot of time focusing on, and they're trying to make sure that they do this the correct way.
Hey, I spoke to. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I spoke to a student who is hopeful that the university might be able to use the bay for study. What do you think about that? Because I know you said you took some students down to the cleanup site in Anacortes, so maybe your students could benefit from the cleanup project itself, and do you think that other students could benefit from the bay or the upland being clean as far as study?
Being clean. So for me, I like it when it's not clean. That's what's fun for me as a scientist. We certainly, so for us, we certainly could probably do some work down there. It would just be a matter, you have to be careful. Some of these sites are so dangerous that you really can't have students down there.
Okay.
The cleanup they're doing right now, for example, mercury can be volatile, meaning that it can be in a gaseous form or in a volatile form, and so you can inhale it. And so you really can't have students down there without them knowing the proper safety steps, and that is a special kind of training for students who couldn't be participating in something like this. So you always have to be careful about students participating in hazardous waste cleanup sites. They're hazardous for that means that they're bad, right? So after the area is cleaned up, I think the entire city of Bellingham is likely to benefit from it as that area redevelops. Whether it's Western whether Western is a part of what redevelops is kind of up to a lot of powers beyond there's a lot of decisions that have to be made that are well beyond any of us can really anticipate. But if it were cleaned up, I do think there's lots of examples of these sites being cleaned up where they become a real kind of public treasure, where they're parks or they're areas where the public can enjoy the area. So I think there's a large benefit to the community, not just Western, from this happening.
Okay.